Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast, the ultimate blueprint to self-love and inner peace. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, a life coach to women, meditation teacher, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution to help you reach your greatest potential. With only 2 weeks left in the year, most of us lean into the natural thought process of evaluation. What went right this year, what we didn't like, what we want for the incoming year. And while this focus is so prevalent, something often stops us from genuinely diving into this much needed thought process. What often gets in the way are three unwanted holiday guests: stress, anxiety, and depression. As we continue our series to wrap up the year, we're taking on how to prevent the end of the year stress and depression. And then next week, we'll uncover the correct way to write out our 2023 vision as it's broken into the fundamental areas of our lives. So let's dive into the tips to really create the best holiday season possible and to get rid of that end of the year stress and depression. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. Okay, let's have a real moment, shall we? 2022 has been a bit weird, strange, really. There's been some really great highs, some growth, development, change, and on the opposite end, there has definitely been lows. And that's just globally speaking, really, right? That's not even leaning into your personal transitions, your growth and change. But honestly, a year of highs and lows is, well, let's call it what it is: natural. And when we get to this point of the year where everything's wrapping up, we're in the holiday season, depending on how many highs versus lows you had, you might be feeling what most people do not want to admit. They aren't feeling the holidays. They aren't feeling the end of the year. They aren't feeling much other than stress and this sense of depression or anxiety. When it comes to this time of the year, I want you to realize that it is natural to feel stressed. Everything is disrupted. Our normal schedule. There's extra school activities for moms and dads. There's gift giving if you celebrate the holidays where gifts are involved. There's family stress and triggers and all this baggage. There's travel. I mean, who wouldn't be stressed, right? It's really a huge thing. And as we begin to talk about this and women come and sit in front of me each week and we start talking about the extra pressure, I often give the same tips and offer the same tools that I would year after year so that we don't have this massive emotional toll that really takes us under. So just like I have given many people these tools, I want to hand them over to you so that maybe they help you get through the holidays. I don't want you to get into survival mode. That's not what we're talking about, but really giving you a sense of control so that you can enjoy mindfully, in balance, these times that are meant to be peaceful. And in order to do that, we really need to talk about the difference between stress, anxiety, and depression. Each of these have their own distinguishing behaviors, feelings, and even markers that you can quickly identify as we talk about these things and really get into a place where at least you know what you're dealing with, right? If you're experiencing heightened emotions or feeling the pressure of all this dizzying array of demands, the projects, entertaining, cleaning, baking, organizing, the fear of getting sick from all of the highly infectious germs that are going around, it's really important to know what is happening within us. We can't really move through anything that we don't witness, right? So the point of this is to really get into a place where we name, identify, and then have tools to move through it. So let's start with stress. Stress can be defined as feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. And here's the thing, most people live in a baseline of stress. We don't even realize that this is a symptom of our life. However, it can be life altering. When we are living through this sense of constant stress, There's a decreased sense of energy and even insomnia. There's a change in our hormones. There's even a change in our libido. We have acne sometimes, inflammation, headaches, chronic pain. We become sicker easier as our immune system begins to suppress itself to keep our body going. There's real physical issues that come with constant stress. There's even digestive issues, weight gain, decrease of weight, appetite changes, rapid heartbeat. If you're not freaked out right now, you know that the list goes on of all the things that stress can do to you. You get it. You probably have actually felt it. It's a nasty bedfellow, that stress. And when it's at its peak, it can truly disrupt everything you know, think, and feel. Anxiety, however, is different. Anxiety is the mind and body's reaction to stressful, dangerous, and unfamiliar events and situations. It's that sense of uneasiness, distress, and even dread that many of us feel. Honestly, not all stress and anxiety is bad. Sometimes it helps us feel alert and keeps us aware. It keeps us safe. Yet it can be something that also makes us tank. It can drive our worried thoughts through the roof. It increases our blood pressure. It makes us feel like we do not have control of our responses. And it can really drive up our fear factor, right? Like really get to a place where we hit very unhealthy levels of fear. Speaking of fear, let's get this out of the way. Anxiety is not the same as fear. Those two words are often interchangeable. I hear it all the time. You probably do it. In fact, it's sort of just a cultural norm to do that if you are from the United States or in the United States. But they are not one and the same. Anxiety is really about the future, right? It's trying to forecast or formulate a plan about the future. It's really trying to get into a place where we are, kind of identifying what may unfold without having a clear path forward or evidence to support it. Here's another thing I want you to hear me. In the United States alone, anxiety impacts roughly 40 million individuals. It is the most common mental condition that we see. The numbers globally, they're shocking too. They're estimated that every 1 in 13 people suffer some high or low level of anxiety every single day. It's also what many pharmaceuticals are, prescribed for, is to deal with anxiety so that we have a new baseline. It really is a major issue for so many people. We can talk about that for eons, really, but let's move on to depression really quickly because I want to break down the behaviors, the tools that you can use. So depression, it is common, but it is a serious mood disorder. Hear what I said. It's a mood disorder, and not a single person that I have ever met is exempt from experiencing it. That doesn't mean that we have it all the time, but there are times where we do slide into depression because of the situations in our lives, because of the way that we're connecting to something, because of a turn of events or not being prepared. There's a million different reasons why. It can cause very severe symptoms that impact how you feel, think, and handle daily life. You've heard, like if you've watched TikTok or on Instagram or Facebook, where people talk about depression so bad that they struggle to even get up and get in the shower. That is a very real thing. It's not about weakness. It's about I am incapable right now of being in control. There are multiple types of depression, from major depression, persistent depressive disorder, prenatal depression, seasonal depression. There's even more beyond that. Still, when we sink into depression, we can feel sad, empty, hopeless, irritable, frustrated, guilty, worthless, drained. We fall into the trap of just wanting to be done with everything. I hear this all the time. And when we break it down, really what they want is just to feel something different. When we talk about depression, I like people to understand that often when we are there, we are circling our thoughts around the past. We're thinking about what we had, what we wanted, what we didn't achieve, what we weren't able to do. It's all past based, where remember, anxiety is future based. So depression past, future forward. What's in the middle? Neutral, which is where we sometimes just need to be. Whether you are dealing with stress, anxiety, or depression, or you are in a relationship with someone, or you know someone that's close to you, I want you to understand it can be damn hard to stop and regroup once it has hit its peak. The point is, if you want to get ahead of any of these experiences, especially during the craziness of the holidays, we must change the way we are connecting to our experiences. So if you're forecasting how the holidays will be, or the vision you're creating isn't working for you, you can step out and use some of these tools to help you be present, more self-aware, and really lean into what will work for you, regardless of what that looks like or how it comes to be. So let's dive in. Let's get into some of this information, these tools, these tips to help you really manage this time of year and set yourself up for getting into a place where you feel good about the holidays. And then next week, we'll write out our vision for the next year so that hopefully we have some of these practices in place and we're not carrying that into the next year, right? Because we don't want to be in a frame of mind where we are casting a shadow over something that we can powerfully create, right? It's a big thing. We don't want to do that. We don't want to create gloom and doom where there can be a ray of sunshine. So first up, I'm hopping back on my soapbox of emotional acknowledgement, right? Because that's a talk we have so often. It's something that I talk about every time that we do a podcast, and every session that I do on Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter. I talk about this all the time because we can't talk about our feelings without talking about owning them. So often when we are stressed, anxious, or depressed, no matter why those feelings have surfaced, we struggle to accept that they're there. When we push our feelings aside, we create a deeper divide between what's happening in our minds and bodies and what is happening in our reality. When things cannot connect and be met in alignment, we don't live in alignment with ourselves or the world around us. This is why we acknowledge our feelings. Remember, feelings are impulses, nothing more. They're guides. They're saying, hey, this situation is not working for me, or hey, this situation is quite lovely. Let's do more of that. It's all it is. We get so wrapped up in, you got to feel your feelings. You know what? Yeah, you do, but you don't have to make a big mess of it to feel that way or to get into the experience of feeling. In talking about the experience of the feeling, maybe you are feeling right now that I just don't want to be around my family this year, but I'm going to because it's easier than the backlash that it causes. Or maybe you're feeling, you know what, I am financially struggling right now and I am stressed to the max and I really don't want other people to know, not because of shame or guilt, but I just kind of feel like a loser and I'm not feeling it. Or maybe I'm exhausted. I've been burning the candle at both ends and I just want to relax and rest and not feel pulled in so many directions. But I too am afraid of the backlash that will cause. Or maybe you feel I'm stressed. I'm stressed about going to see my mom and dad because they're so judgmental. Or my sister is just mean and I don't want to deal with it. Whatever it is that you are feeling right now, what are we supposed to do with it? We're supposed to name it. What is happening? Then witness it. Exactly why do I feel the way that I do? And then ask yourself, what are my options? If I gave myself permission to do as I wanted, what would I choose? This is a big question we often do not ask ourselves. If I did not have to play by the rules of others, what would I choose for myself? Get into the habit of asking that question. It is a big one. If we go back through what we may be feeling, maybe the permission is I'm not going to be around my family. Or it is, I'm not going to bring gifts, but instead I'm going to offer experiences later in the new year. Or maybe I'm going to let others know that they cause me stress and anxiety. And you know what? I just need a little downtime. Or maybe it's just, I need to have a little downtime. Maybe you have a real conversation about how you feel judged and you set boundaries and parameters to the holidays and you stick with them, right? We can't have boundaries if we don't actually hold the line. Because when we draw lines in the sand and we refuse to really push through the urge to draw that line further and further, we hold space for ourselves. And holding space is so important. When we don't hold space is when we feel stressed. When we don't hold space is when anxiety comes in. When we don't hold space for a long period of time, depression hits. Think about it. If I'm doing what I know is right for me, it's not likely that I'm going to experience a lot of negativity because I'm not willing to entertain it. It's normal to feel whatever you are feeling. It's okay to express your feelings once you have witnessed them. You can't force yourself to be happy just because it's the holiday season and we're nearing the end of the year. That is an unreasonable expectation that dims your light and can ultimately cause long-term mental and emotional damage. The other piece to all of this, and we're not going to go deep into it because many people can actually recognize that this is a problem, but we tend to judge what we are feeling, what we're experiencing during the holidays based on a snapshot, 90 seconds of a stranger's Instagram profile. It's 90 seconds. It's not their entire life. Are you really going to become so dysregulated in your life that you're comparing 90 seconds to the overall experience that you are having? Of course not. I hope not. It's essentially really important to get to a place where you learn to say no, where you're willing to say, you know what, that's not for me, and not feel bad about doing so. A lot of people do not understand that these little tiny micro pieces, this no, this unwillingness to be moved into a space that is uncomfortable for us, do in fact add to our stress, anxiety, and depression. Say no to these obligations that make you sad, or to the things that stir up memories that you're not ready to confront with the people who share them with you. Did you feel that? Did that hit you like it was supposed to? Say no to the things that don't work for you. Say no to the things you know are sparkly packages wrapped in triggers. You can skip the holiday parties, both personal and work related. You can skip anything you want, as long as you don't isolate yourself. We don't want you hiding yourself away to avoid what is making you uncomfortable. That's not it. Remember, I said, in order to have emotional understanding, you have to acknowledge what's happening. So let's be serious. You're not obligated to live to anyone else's expectations of you. Expectations are something someone else wants from you, but the question is, what do you want from you? When you actually have a firm understanding of this, I want you to let go of the guilt of making the decision that's right for you. This is a huge piece of anxiety, a huge piece of stress, which can lead us into depression, that guilt. Look, guilt often comes down to the word should. If you've listened to this podcast, you know I hate that word. I would often say that hate isn't a word that I want anyone to use, but let's be honest, I hate it. It is an adverse emotion that really comes down to self-consciousness or the reflection of how we see ourselves. When we have guilt, we fall into shame, embarrassment, stress, anxiety, right? It's a byproduct of anxiety. And often we lean into the words of failure, broken, loser, shouldn't have. There's so many that we fall into. It can be uncomfortable to step out of the norm and into choice. And here's the thing, I say that and a lot of people say, well, that's not my choice to live in that space of stress, anxiety, and depression. And sorry, but it is. You're making choices that do not best support you. Is there a way out? Of course. But you have to flip what you are doing so that you can best serve yourself. Does that mean I'm blaming you for your anxiety, stress, and depression? No, I'm not. I'm just saying there are things in your behavior and your thought process, in the way that you're showing up, that is adding to the way that you feel. Period. Right? Proven fact. So just know that. When you know what is best for you, there are factors that we often don't talk about. And this adds to the baseline of our stress, anxiety, and depression. And it's something I want to talk about quickly because I don't think you can talk about these things without really leaning into this factor. And it is this space of loneliness. When we choose ourselves, sometimes that comes at the cost of loving the people around us. Sometimes it comes at the cost of being with the people around us. And when the people that we think are supposed to be with us are the very thing that cause us stress and pain, we experience a deep sense of loss. What does a deep sense of loss cause? Stress, anxiety, depression, if we don't get ahead of it. We must get out of the mindset that just because we are not supported by the people we think should support us, that we're not supported at all. You have to ask yourself, who are my real people? Who are the people who show up for me no matter what I'm experiencing or the moment? Who are these people? Who are the people that have my back? Where is my community? Where is the group of people that I know I can lean into vulnerability and not be judged? We do have those people in our lives. We have to identify who they are. And when we do that, we reach out. We call our friends. We call our community. And even though it sometimes doesn't feel comfortable, we have to ask for what we need. We say, hey, you know what? I decided not to follow through with my normal plans. I was wondering if you have some space for me at your table. I wonder if you were busy today. Call the friend that you failed to call over the last few months while you were busy. Go to the event that you were invited to but first refused because you weren't sure if you could make it, or you weren't going to be able to attend because you were stuck doing the per usual. Make the choice for you. Do something that pushes you outside of the discomfort of your perceived comfort. How many times have we shown up to the thing, right? And we became really dysregulated by the people, by the experience, and we think we shouldn't have come. And as those feelings rise, as that experience continues within our emotional body, within our mental thoughts, guess what? Anxiety, stress, and depression, they come knocking. You know, if your family and friends are not an option, where can you spend your time volunteering? This is actually a tool, and it really is physical engagement with something outside of your norm. And if you do this, you really do help yourself while you're helping others. And we offer love, we offer kindness if we are doing it in an intentional way. If we're taking action that best supports someone else, it often best supports us as long as it is in alignment. It lifts our spirits and it can broaden our friendships. There's something more I want to talk about anxiety, stress, and the connection with our family. This is a big one. It's one that I see all the time, so I want to address it right now. We're going to call it a situation, right? But many people, especially if they are other family members or they're sort of outside the perimeter of your day-to-day life, they may ask you to set aside your differences and to bend over, get over your feelings, especially during the holidays. It's your family. It's your blood. You should really make up with those people. But I need you to hear me. If you're experiencing stress, anxiety, fear, depression, or any other form of negativity because of the holidays, you need to know that a certain time of the year does not undo the past. It is not a hall pass for crappy behavior. You hear me? It's not. So many people want us to just get over it, make nice, Just, push your differences aside. It's okay. It's the holidays. There is a huge difference, though, between setting your feelings aside or setting your differences aside and ignoring your inner voice and really ignoring your feelings about a situation to make it work for someone else, especially someone who is not an active player of your life. If you are setting aside your differences, you are trying to see that person for who they are. You are also trying to accept them and the situation without judgment and expectation. That is totally different than trauma or deep misalignment with someone. That is totally different than being in a situation that causes anxiety. When we are capable of setting aside our differences, it means that we are in control of our emotions. It means that we are connecting to the experience in a different way. Again, totally different than trauma, totally different than trigger, totally different than anxiety, stress, or depression. Chances are, if you ignore your feelings, you are going to end up in a darker place than when you started. If you say, okay, fine, I'm going to set aside my feelings, but you still have high levels of anxiety, you are not serving yourself. So ask yourself a deep question. Am I pushing myself and my feelings aside to make the holidays work for someone else? Or am I offering grace in hopes of receiving it in return? You see, there's this magic that happens. When you unclutter your life of the things that do not serve you, the better you can hear yourself, the better you heal, the more fulfilled you feel. Even the ability to love yourself increases. Without being your own champion, you cannot change what is causing you to feel anxious, depressed, or stressed. These are huge things. Beyond family and work, I need to talk about a few other things that often come up around the holidays. And some of these will feel extremely simple, and you may not be able to connect to why someone would feel this or why it would make them dysregulated. But remember, we all connect to different experiences in varying ways. So if something I am about to mention doesn't land, ask yourself, what does cause me stress? What causes me to feel dysregulated? And then apply some of these factors so that you can move forward and not be stressed, anxious, or depressed during the holidays, right? So the first one really comes down to the physical body. I'm talking about health and appearance here. We need to think about what we talked about earlier. If you become stressed or anxious, the physical body becomes dysregulated. Actually, we can go a step further and talk about what happens to the liver. The liver will actually dump extra sugar into the bloodstream and into the body. And the reason why is the body prepares itself by ensuring that you have enough sugar or energy to do what is needed. What happens then, though? Our insulin levels fall and our adrenaline levels rise. So more sugar is then released from the liver. If you've eaten all the things, all the goodies, right? Guess what? You're going to have an increased sugar level in your system anyway. And now your liver is going into excess, and we can get ourselves into real physical trouble. We can even go a step further and say that this cycle also impacts our emotional health. When we have spikes in stress, our body releases hormones such as cortisol, and that can really cause us to have emotional disruption because we are not physically regulated. This is a huge problem. And so if this is what's causing you stress, if food is causing you anxiety, it is a massive thing for many people. I want you to simply create a plan. Watch what you eat. Stay away from things that you know do not support your physical or mental health. By support, I mean if that food is going to cause you stress or to feel anxious or to even make you feel like you are failing in your health goals, do what you need to help yourself feel your best. One question that I often ask women when we talk about this in session is, what do the rest of the months look like? What does the experience of really focusing on your health, your food, your awareness of your body look like for you on a day to day basis that does not involve this time? And then you can really have an understanding of, you know what, I do this and that, this thing and that thing to help myself feel my best. And from there, you can put those things back in action. And I'm not saying, deprive yourself, it's the holidays. I'm saying if it's causing you to feel really dysregulated, is it worth it? Is it worth the stress and anxiety when there is another option? And once you know what you normally do and you put it back into place, write out an intention, create a focus for yourself. This is really imperative to stay on top of how you feel physically and mentally. There's something else that comes up quite often in session, in DMs from Instagram, in the emails that you guys send during the holidays. And I get it 150 billion%. Is that even a percent? I really, really do get it, right? And it is the shopping. Yes, shopping can cause anxiety. It can cause stress. So many women have said, you know what, I don't like shopping because the loud, large, sort of crazy crowds make me feel nervous. I don't want to be around that many people. And I have to be honest with you, I don't like shopping either. I have a strong distaste for it. I love gift giving. I love buying gifts that someone else feels like they have been seen and heard. But shopping itself, not my jam. And many people feel that way. And a lot of people will actually have panic attacks when they have to go out into those situations. And again, you may not identify with that, but a lot of people experience it. So if stress and anxiety is finding the way in because of shopping, give yourself an alternative. We all know that Amazon exists, right? Give yourself the chance to make a list. If you feel like you need to go out to shop, make a plan. Remember, anxiety is about forecasting, so you have to take control. What can you do to help yourself not fall into a pattern of feeling dysregulated? Is there a place that you can order or go to and buy everything at once? Can you create a budget and stay within it? Whatever isn't working, give yourself an opposite plan to the situation. That seems really simple, but honestly, it comes down to discipline. What do I need? What do I want? How am I going to show up? Do I really want to feel dysregulated when I'm trying to do something that will make someone else happy? And if it is too much, then find an alternative. Remember, and this is a tool, this is a big tool that most people refuse to do. I want you to remember that you can always scale your holidays up or down depending on what you need. So many moms, I'm talking to you. I see you. I have been you. I get it. You need to really identify if you are feeling the holidays, if you're extra stressed, if you're feeling extra anxiety, if you're not feeling heard, if you're not feeling seen, and realize that you have the power to say, I'm just going to buy the cookie kits and we're going to decorate those instead of baking for 6 hours. Or I am not going to go to every Christmas party that we've been invited to because the neighbor's neighbor said that we should definitely come. Or I'm not going to buy 500 gift cards for every teacher that you encounter. What do you need? What do you need? You can scale it up or down. That is a tool. Seriously, it is about choice. During the height of COVID, so many people were talking to me about the fact that they felt less guilty for paring down, right? For taking the step back because they didn't want to go and be sick. A lot of their normal activities were canceled. They really pared down how much they were giving. And then on the opposite effect, many decided to upscale what they were doing for Christmas because they felt bad that their kids were stuck in the house, every hour of the day. The question is, what do I need? If you are mom and you are the planner, you are the one who's cooking, you're the one who's driving to the different places, you're Christmas shopping or Hanukkah shopping or any other holiday, it's on you. What do you need? Can you scale back? And can you scale up in other ways? A scale up would be buying the holiday kits that you didn't have to spend all day getting your kitchen dirty. It's okay. With that, we've been talking about expectations from others or on us, right? But we haven't been talking about our expectations. We must make sure that our self-expectations are in check. Another tool, right? I've been asking you, what do you need? And there's a reason why, because that is how we get our expectations in check. I need you to start being patient with yourself, to be kind to yourself. Afford yourself the same kindness that you offer to others, and my friend, increase it by 50%. Because we all know that unless you're laying down everything to do something for someone else, you always have a little extra bit of kindness to offer. So give it to yourself. Do something special for you. I'm not talking about bougie bubble baths. I'm not talking about the nail appointment, the hair appointment. That is, wonderful. What I'm talking about is, what can you do to help decrease your load without taking on the entire world, without putting everything on your shoulders? What can you do for you? One thing you hear me talk about so often is to go within. We talk about it with meditation. We talk about it with inner peace. We talk about it with self-love, all the things, right? Finding personal peace and groundedness for yourself and to yourself is one beautiful way to stop the stress, anxiety, depression cycle. When we create space for ourselves, what we're really doing is saying, I see you. I see you, girl. I see what you need. I see what you want. I see you. Finding this space where you can retreat inward is huge. This can be something as simple as a memory, something to focus on. Man, I loved that experience during the holidays. I'm going to just really bring it to the forefront of my mind and allow it to sit. Allow that to be where I'm ruminating on because it feels good, and bring it forth anytime that I really need it. Maybe there's a funny story, a funny situation, a fond memory. I don't care what it is, a laugh, a smile, feeling warmth. Create that experience within yourself. There's something else that I want to talk about too, and that's the flow of gratitude. Gratitude is a beautiful way to stop anxiety, stress, and depression right in its tracks. In fact, there's a tool that I want to, hand over to you so that you can use it at any time. And, especially right now during this dysregulation of all of the normal things being disrupted. So it is the flow of gratitude practice. And it is so beautiful. Let's do it now. If you can't close your eyes, just listen and do this exercise with me wherever you are. If you can close your eyes, this does offer you a bit more peace and flow. So I would love for you to do that. Again, it makes a massive impact on how we feel. So close your eyes. Take a really good deep breath through your nose. In this exercise, please only breathe in and out of your nose. Mouth breathing is okay if it's not possible for you, but when we breathe all the way in through our nose and out through our nose, we're really turning on that regulation within the nervous system. And in this exercise, I want you to remember that you must breathe properly. Most of us don't breathe properly during the day. We take really automatic, not thoughtful breaths. Here, we are really being intentional. Inhale through your nose. I want you to bring your belly button back, right? Act like it's going to touch your spine as you are bringing this air in. And then when you are ready, I want you to exhale, releasing the belly button back to its natural position and allowing the breath to flow through your nose. I want you to continue to breathe like this, in and out, allowing your breath to build. And as you do, begin to think about what you're grateful for. We're getting into the flow of gratitude, remember. And as you're thinking about what makes you feel good and grateful, begin to connect to that feeling. Feel it. Be inside of it. I've done this exercise with so many, and they'll say, oh, I love a good hot cup of coffee. I'm grateful for my coffee. And when they really think about the coffee, there's this natural progression where the body kind of relaxes because it's a sensory thing for us. And that's what we want to experience. So connect. The key is connection. Connect to the gratitude. Be inside of it. The deal is this. Your brain cannot be engaged with the goodness you are creating and still be in the flow of anxiety and stress. So this tool, you're going to close your eyes. Inhale. Bring that belly button all the way back to the spine. Visualize that happening. And then exhale. We're going to continue to build that breath, that feeling of relaxation. And we list 3 gratitudes. We feel it, we connect to it, we focus on our breath. If we want to continue with other gratitudes, we can. Or at 3, we can begin to slow our breath, open our eyes, and really be in the moment. That flow of gratitude helps us regulate our nervous system. It helps us get out of the stress, the anxiety, and the depression. And here's the thing. It's actually not that hard. And most of us have something to be grateful for. And if you are experiencing pretty deep depression, you may say, no, I don't. I don't have anything to be grateful for. My life is really terrible. And I want you to stop. I want you to disrupt that thought process. Are you grateful for running water? I bet you are. Are you grateful for the lights being on? I bet you are. Are you grateful for your ability to connect with the world by a phone? I bet you are. There is always something to be grateful for. And when you find that flow and that space within you, allow yourself to let others know what you need. I mentioned this before, but really the tool part of this is to witness what you have in your life. And to witness that when people see you in a state of stress, anxiety, or depression, they will often come to you and ask, what do you need? And most of us in those times are unsure. We don't know. We have no idea what to say because we really don't know what we need. Because if we did, wouldn't we be doing it? So I want you to think about that. When we really need something, we have to be willing to say it. And the more we ask ourselves, what do we need, the better we come up with an answer. When we feel sad or frustrated, we, say, well, I don't feel supported. So what do I need? It's in the answer, support. We have to really make the most out of the understanding of what we need. So if you're going to someone or someone's coming to you and saying, what do you need? Just stop for a second and say, I have a list. Because that's the tool, is to make a list of what you need. And if you are the person that is going to someone who is experiencing stress, anxiety, or depression, begin to offer something different. Instead of saying, what do you need? Say, you know what? I want to love and support you right now, so I'm going to bring you dinner. Or I was thinking that maybe we could go and spend the day together and we don't have to talk. We can just have lunch and maybe go see a movie. Or I will sit with you. Whatever it is, offer something. Don't ask open-ended questions. There is no answer. We don't know, right? So these are big tools, especially during the holidays, especially in a time of disruption. What do I need? What do I want? How do I want to feel? How am I going to get there? Big things. We never want you to stay in stress. We never want you to stay in anxiety. And we sure as hell don't want you just staying in depression. What we do want is for you to be able to identify what you need and how you're going to move yourself in order to make those needs a priority and the priority met. The underlying theme of everything I have said is what works for you. That's what it comes down to. Right? That simple question. What works for me? Anxiety, stress, and even depression can get the best out of all of us, but it doesn't have to. So let's quickly recap. I want you to identify what's going on. Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? Remember, you have the definitions there. Identify what you're feeling. Name it. Offer yourself grace and realize that the only way you're going to move through it is to move through it. Reach out. Be realistic. Hold space for yourself and for others if needed. And when warranted, set aside differences. When unwarranted, don't do it. Stick to a budget. Physically show up. Do what's best for your eating. Be emotionally sound. Have a financial plan for yourself. Plan ahead without forecasting. Be very specific. Outside of your needs, what is it that you feel is going to cause the biggest problem? Identify it. Move through it. Learn to say no. Breathe and find the gratitude. Create your scale of needs and directions, and then move to it. Lastly, if you've tried your best and you still feel sad, anxious, stressed, if you've lost someone, you're plagued with physical and emotional issues, you're unable to sleep, you feel hopeless, everything just feels wrong, please reach out. There is no judgment. Reach out. Reach out to me or someone else. It actually doesn't matter as long as you are reaching out. There's nothing wrong with working with someone who can help you identify what you're feeling, that can help move you through a space and time that really can disrupt you. Reach out. In order to feel in control of your life, you must have a sense of safety. We build safety through the examples of our safeness. Remember that. Remember, with every little planning and grounding that you do, this thinking, this space, you have the ability to not only build, find, and create joy, you have the ability to create peace for yourself. You also have the ability to disinvite anything that's not working for you. You can take control and you can get into your life. And of course, that is an essential step to getting your life together, girl. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you've enjoyed these tips to bettering your life and are seeking daily inspiration and additional tools and tips, you can follow me on social media at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. You can also visit the show notes, my blog, and my website at getyourlifetogethergirl.com. Please feel free to share this episode with your friends and family who may need this, as it helps spread this message across the world. I also invite you to check out the Get Your Life Together Girl Women's Circle while you're on the website. There are already over 100 downloadable tools for you, and we meet over Zoom once a month to gather as women, talk about what we need, and support one another. It's only $9 a month, and I hope that you will join us. Also, be sure to check out our newsletter. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.